Hello Channel viewers, I am DS, a psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the difference between introverts and extroverts. In order for us to have a more meaningful discussion on introversion and extroversion, I am going to split this video into three distinct portions. In the first portion, I am going to talk about the common misconceptions between the introvert and the extrovert. In our second section, we are going to talk about what an extrovert and an introvert really is. And finally, in the third section, I will be sharing with the viewers some tips how you can identify whether someone is an introvert or an extrovert. And if you are an individual who has problem telling whether you are really an introvert or an extrovert, then probably this video can help you.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Let's come to the first portion of this video, misconceptions of the introvert and the extrovert. So many people have problems telling whether they themselves are introvert or extroverts. So if you have already watched one of my previous videos, you would have known that the MBTI online test is not built to determine your cognitive stacks. So on top of that, sometimes people tend to interpret the questions based on different contexts. So what this means is that the test is going to be not very accurate for some individuals. Another misconception that a lot of people have of introverts is that they tend to like to be alone. They do not like to attend social gatherings. While the extrovert, on the other hand, really likes to make friends, is a very highly sociable person and is always found in parties. There are people who say that sometimes they are an introvert and sometimes they are an extrovert. This cannot happen. If you understand the MBTI, you are either an extrovert or an introvert. You cannot be half-half. So this means that there is also no such thing called ambivert. So if an introvert is not someone who likes to be alone or someone who doesn't like to make friends, then what is the definition of an introvert? In order for us to answer this question, we have to first understand the concept of optimal arousal. So every individual has a preference as to how much arousal or stimulation they like in their environment. So let me ask you this question first. When you return home after a hard day at work, what are the first few things that you need to do? Or what are the first few things that you tend to do? For some people, the first thing that they do when they go home is just to collapse into the sofa and zone out. Other people, they may need to switch on all the lights, switch on the music, switch on the TV. Even if they are not watching the TV, it's okay. They just need background noise. And this background noise is an example of stimulation. Sometimes, some people just need more stimulation than usual. So introverts are people who generally prefer a low level of arousal or stimulation. They like to have an environment where there is as little arousal as possible. This makes them the most comfortable. So for example, when an introvert enters a room and there is a lot of noise, people are talking, it may make him or her very over-aroused. So the level of arousal in the environment is too much. So what this introvert may do is to just go home because he or she prefers an environment with not as much stimulation as that in the previous room that I was talking about. So on the other hand, an extrovert is a person who needs much more stimulation than the introvert to continue to stay aroused. So an extrovert is likely to feel very comfortable in a place where there is a high level of stimulation. And this level of stimulation can come from meeting friends, or it can just come from the television or the radio or even the fan. So I am an ENTJ, and the E in ENTJ means that I am an extrovert. So what makes me an extrovert? As an extrovert, I need a high level of arousal or stimulation to keep me comfortable. So when I am eating at home, regardless of whether there is anything nice showing on the TV, I have to turn the TV on because I need the sounds and the visual to give me the additional stimulation to boost me up so that I am in the correct arousal. Then I can be alert. Otherwise, I will be under-aroused and feel bored and unsatisfied. So now, if you can understand this distinction, then it is easier for you to understand what is the difference between an introvert and an extrovert. So we'll go on to the next section of this video. What are some signs that a person may be an extrovert? Of course, if a person doesn't demonstrate many of the traits that I have actually mentioned in this section, then the likelihood is that this person is going to be an introvert. I have identified 7 signs that can indicate whether a person is an extrovert. So here we go. Sign number 1. The person gets bored easily and always likes a change in environment. So periodically they may start to walk around, or they might even go out of the house for a walk. Extroverts are unlikely to be able to stay on task for a long time. So for example, if I have a project or an assignment to complete on my laptop, at most I can last 30 minutes. However, an introvert may be able to last 2 hours or more, because after 30 minutes, the extrovert becomes under-aroused because the environment now becomes sterile. So we need to seek optimal arousal, which is here. Now we are only getting this much of arousal, so we need to take a break, go for a tea, go for a coffee, go out for a walk. So as a lecturer, you can also find that I walk about the classroom quite often because this keeps me aroused. However, this can be slightly distracting for the introverted student. Of course, the reverse can be true. An introverted lecturer just may go on a monotone and can be under-arousing and boring for the extroverted student. Sign number 2 that a person may be extroverted is that he or she tends to talk faster, speak louder, and is not very comfortable with silence. So for example, during a conversation with an extrovert and the two of you may have moments of silence, the extrovert may be the first person to break the silence and just say something.
Say something.
Because the extrovert finds silence very under-arousing and hence uncomfortable. So remember, for extroverts, anything that is under-arousing, under-stimulating is uncomfortable, so they want to increase the arousal to make themselves more comfortable. The reverse is true for introverts. The third sign that a person is an extrovert is that the extrovert tends to eat faster. The extrovert also tends to put more things into his or her mouth, because putting more things into his or her mouth is very stimulating. So what I mean is that if I eat french fries or eat potato chips or Mentos, I put a lot in the mouth at the same time, because more food means more stimulation inside my mouth, and that keeps me in optimal arousal. Sign number 4 that a person is extroverted is this person may have exaggerated facial expressions or reactions. Oh, I just ate some chili. Exaggerated. Oh, this is so sour. Exaggerated. What? This is so bitter. Exaggerated. Extroverts tend to have exaggerated reactions to different or extreme tastes. This is because they already prefer something that is very arousing or stimulating. Something that is overstimulating can push them over their threshold and they will have an extreme reaction. Introverts tend not to show this kind of reaction. So sign number 5 is related to sign number 4. The extrovert tends to gesticulate when speaking. Sign number 6 that a person is an extrovert, he or she needs background noise. So a student may be studying, may want to listen to music at the same time. You may just turn on a YouTube video but not watch it. You just let it run in the background. That is also probably something that an extrovert might do. Sign number 7 that you are an extrovert is that you prefer brighter colors. An extrovert is likely to think that a bright color such as bright red, yellow, pink are stimulating and they would prefer brighter colors. I hope that for the viewers who are still confused about whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, these signs and the definition of introverts and extroverts can help you understand whether you really are an introvert or an extrovert. Of course, based on the MBTI, you must either be an introvert or an extrovert. If your dominant function is any one of these, then you are an extrovert because your leading function is an extroverted function. And if your dominant function is any one of these, then you must be an introvert because your leading function or your dominant function is an introverted function. So if you do the MBTI online test and you get a different result each time, then screw it. Don't do the online test because it's not going to be accurate for you. So the more accurate way to know whether you are an introvert or an extrovert is to know your cognitive stacks. So if you are not sure, you can refer to my other videos on cognitive stacks. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can continue to add value to you. And I'll see you again in my next episode. Goodbye!